Okay, it looks like I am live. None of my co-hosts are here yet, but I thought that it would be cool to. I gotta double check here. There, I gotta mute everything because I got a bunch of stuff on the go at the same time. So I'm muting everything. But I thought it would be cool to, instead of starting right at the start of the Brainstorm podcast, um, back in the day, we could start around the time when we first learned that Donald Trump was going to run for president. That should give uh, lots of opportunity for changed opinions. I, yeah. All right. So let's see here. We got a couple things on the go, so I'm just trying to double check everything before I start. I'll start listening to it right away. Okay, where am I? There. Okay. So I already skipped the what do you call it? The intro music, but not sure if that's going through. I'm gonna stop sharing, then share again, and then application window. There we go. Share the audio of this one. There we go. So that should work. Oh boy, I hope that works.
2.0.
All
We're in
right.
Regina, Saskatchewan. Tonight's show is brought to you by Reasonist Inc., atheist, skeptic, and science-based apparel. You can
Oh
find them
boy.
at reasonistinc.com.
Back when
All right,
Brainstorm
so we're
had
back.
like sponsors.
Hello.
Thanks. I need, actually, can you get me my hat as well? Before we do the educational portion or the religious nuttery, we had a contest on the podcast, on the
Ooh.
Facebook page. We didn't, it was supposed to be, we reached 500 downloads of the new episode through people sharing and liking the newest post with the episode with David Smalley.
Yes.
And if we hit
Oh yeah.
500, then I was going to offer to buy a randomly selected person.
Okay, so I don't know if people who might be looking at this remember the atheist community from back then. This was July 7th, 2016 is when we recorded. And David Smalley was like a big deal. I don't know what he's doing now because 90% of the people I communicate with don't communicate with him anymore. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the heck David Smalley is doing now. But he kind of had some kind of shitty opinions there for a while too. So it's not entirely surprising that those of us on the social justice or the left side of the atheist community or skeptical community kind of stopped, hanging out with him.
Person, a shirt from Absence of Clothing, a shirt from Reasonist.com, Reasonist Inc., or a shirt from our Brainstorm podcast Cafe Press store. We didn't. We hit about 350, but
It's not bad.
I figured we got enough of a response that we could draw a name out of my hat and we could give somebody a t-shirt. I brought the names. I just got to find them.
Corey's wearing the shirt right now.
It's pre-worn by Corey.
Pre-worn by
Sweet.
Corey. If you like that sort
And I only see minor armpit stains.
You can snuggle it at night
We had to shut off
and have his
Yeah.
have his musk.
So I've got a bunch of names. Everybody who liked or shared
Oh,
the
geez.
podcast
This is funny.
link on Facebook is in this little bag.
All these little
Sweet.
So we're gonna
like promotional
throw
tricks
those
that
in
a person
hat.
used to
I
try
don't know
and
what order they
I don't have a drum roll.
promote the show.
no drum roll
and,
sample, but
get
we're
people to
gonna-
share
we're
it
gonna pick
and-
one out.
Okay.
All right, who do we got? We got Matt
It's a little ridiculous.
Alden.
Okay, so Alden is a longtime friend of me and some of the other people who were on the brainstorm like as hosts. So it seemed a little bit silly that one of our friends won the T-shirt.
Nepotism.
That seemed like
Nepotism.
that was fucking
Nepotism.
fixed.
Goddamn Alden gets a fucking.
Let's check those, see if they're not all Alden.
Are you sure?
They're definitely not all Alden.
Oh yeah,
I
I see,
swear.
I see some other names.
So I guess
Congratulations, Alden.
Alden, shoot me your address. I'll order you a shirt. Let me know what shirt you want from which website. And
How silly.
That fucker's not even listening tonight. Like
I
he
know.
He
the
isn't.
bastard. That's
God
that's
damn
2
it.
in a row he hasn't listened to live.
Yeah, we used to do the show live. That was
What should we berate
We
our
have so
listeners?
few listeners that we know when they're not listening.
That's right. You know when you're listening.
It's almost like Santa Claus.
Kayla thinks you
it's
meant
a-
to say
Yeah.
Kayla. You meant to say Kayla. I think.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Kayla. I was actually really hoping that I would pull your name.
I think Kayla just deserves a shirt.
I think she does, yeah. But maybe we'll do this again and we'll announce it on the actual show that we're recording that we'll then do a podcast for, and
Yes. Yes.
maybe we'll get a few extra
That's a
shares
good
and
idea.
likes.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Not this episode though. Maybe another.
we
one.
did eventually do that, and I think
When
Kayla
David's
did get a
rolling,
shirt.
interview and, Dave Edwards. At least we have, that these kind of bumps in the road happen even to the best of podcasts. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
So thanks everybody who shared and liked the episode. That was I don't know, that was super cool. We didn't hit 500, but we did hit like 350.
That's
So-
good.
In 2 weeks, that ain't bad for an episode for us. Ain't bad.
Ain't bad.
Ain't bad.
That's awesome.
Well,
And
I'll tell you about something that is bad.
What's bad?
In a moment.
Okay.
I want to hear
In a
that.
moment. Let's
I
get
know.
some
Get my gag reflex
let's get
ready.
the religious nuttery bumper going.
Cornerstone.
Oh,
This
yeah.
might be new to some of you. Scripture says that even our righteous deeds are as filthy rags to God. So even the good things that you do, even things like feeding the hungry and clothing the poor and taking in widows and orphans, as nice as those things are, if not done from the place of obedience to in a relationship with God, are completely worthless and disgusting to God. If you're not daily walking in a place of relationship to God, then the news that we have to bring you is that you're on your way to hell right now.
Wow, that still makes me mad. This idea that if the good things you're doing are not specifically religious in the way that they believe that they should be religious, it just blows my mind that you can disregard the effects that somebody's actions in that way. Like, you absolutely have to like I should change where I'm sitting. You absolutely have to actually pay attention to what's happening. You can't just say that a good thing isn't good because it isn't done in the name of God, right? Like, it's just nonsense. But many people believe that. It's a super frustrating thing for people to promote. And we used to play that bumper every time we talked about it was the segment Religious Nuttery. And I mean, it was a lot of fun. There's still a lot of silly stuff that gets promoted in the name of religion. And I think that, yeah, it was good to focus on it and like actually zero in on some of those silly things. So here we go, I guess.
Yes, that still makes me angry every time I listen to it.
I try to not listen to that because
You're on your way to hell right now, even if you do good things.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
see you there, guys.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, it turns out Canada still has a blasphemy law.
Yes.
We are
Silliness.
This
right
was-
up there with Saudi
hold on.
Arabia.
This was in 2015. I'm gonna shrink this down from full screen. Yeah, 2016. We recorded it in July of 2016, and yeah, Canada still has had a blasphemy law. I don't know if anything's changed since then. It seems like it probably should have, but I'm not sure it has.
I'm kidding. It's not quite that
It's
bad.
not quite that bad.
Not
We don't
quite.
put that many people to death every
No.
day.
I mean, every once in a while. No, so Canada still has a blasphemy law that's been on the books since 1890 something. And
Yes.
in recent years, there has been some uproar and people are asking for it to be removed. Most recently, the BC Humanist Association started a petition to get it removed from the Canadian Criminal Code.
I'm not sure if this was run at that time by my good I think it was Ian Bushfield, good friend of mine, who still I think is involved with the BC Humanist Association. So yeah, pretty cool.
So the petition has reached enough signs that it now has to be brought to the House.
Nice.
So
good.
that is, so it at least has to be mentioned in the House on the agenda at some point. So that's a good sign.
And we don't have a conservative majority, so there's a chance that it'll actually get
Yeah.
attention.
And
Yes.
and the thing is, it's not at all like Saudi Arabia. So
Yeah.
it hasn't actually, we haven't actually convicted anybody under that law in the last 80 years.
Right.
And it hasn't even
Okay.
brought up, or like charges haven't been brought up in the last 35 years. So it's not actually a big deal. It's
Yeah.
more of a symbolic thing that we should not be having this shit. Like, we criticize other countries for having blasphemy laws, and we need to remove ours from the books as well. So the blasphemy law, I'm going to go over the points, exactly what it says. It's Canada's Criminal Code, section 296.
I feel like the audio could have been better. As a person who's constantly working on audio now, I don't know if the shows I do now have that same hiss in the background. I think that was a product of when we were working with Spreaker and broadcasting live, and it always seemed to have like that kind of sound to it. Like, probably doesn't help that it was always the file that I was working with was always an MP3, and I couldn't do a whole lot with it. It just sounded the way it sounded. And yeah, I think I could do a lot more with it now. But
And number one, it goes like this: everyone who publishes a blasphemous libel is guilty of an indictable offense.
hello, Renee.
I made it. Hello.
How's it going?
A little late. Whatever.
Yeah, no, that's all
I was
good.
I was literally hooking up the headset, and then my phone rang. So
Yeah. No, I was just I thought what I would do is I would listen to episodes starting from when Donald Trump kind of announced his candidacy for president in 2016. So
yeah, that would
this-
actually be very, very fitting. Be very fitting.
it seemed about right.
The beginning of the train wreck, and now that we're I don't know if we're at the end of the train wreck or in the middle of the wreckage of the train wreck. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what it qualifies as, but the way we started this episode, we didn't even acknowledge, like, we're not talking politics yet. I guess we started with the religious nuttery in this particular
Yeah.
episode. So Leo was going through the recent, or at the time recent, petition to get rid of Canada's blasphemy law. And I'm not sure if that's changed or not, but
I was just going to say, whatever happened to that? Because I have no idea whatever happened to that. Is that
Yeah,
still a thing? I honestly don't know.
I can't remember for the life of me. So I'll
Do a quick Wikipedia look search.
yeah, it could. Yeah. While we're still listening to this.
Yeah.
For a term not exceeding 2 years. Number 2, it's a question of fact whether or not any matter of that is published is a blasphemy libel. Number 3,
It's
no
a bit wordy.
yeah,
Legal document.
This is like-
Mind you, it was also written 80 years ago.
Yeah.
So
well, it was
Okay,
it was written
gotcha.
over 100 years ago. 1891, I think. I'm not quite-
Wow.
but 1892. But in the third point says no person shall be convicted of an offense under this section for expressing in good faith in decent language, or attempting to establish by argument used in good faith and conveyed in decent language an opinion on a religious subject, which basically means it doesn't apply if you are just debating. So if you're legitimately debating a point, you can say things,
Okay.
but it kind of implies that it has to be of malicious intent, like where you're actually making fun of.
Oh, hey. So if one's going to look at the wiki, it says, over the summer of 2016, a petition to Parliament asking that the blasphemous libel law be repealed was circulated by several Canadian humanist groups and was presented to the government in December of 2016. The government responded in January 2017, stating that blasphemous libel, along with numerous other provisions of the criminal code, are presently under review by the Minister of Justice and her officials. So then on June 6th, Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould introduced Bill C-51 in the House of Commons to amend the criminal code. Yeah. So we no longer have a blasphemy law.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google search, and it says that it was repealed in 2018. So,
Yeah. So.
yay!
Good. that's good. I mean, the petition that
Progress
we were
before the
talking about-
shitstorm.
That's right. We made some progress in Canada.
In Canada.
Although I think technically the U.S. doesn't have like a blasphemy law either, right?
I don't know. There's such a contradiction because their whole thing was separation of church and state, separation of church and state. Except it's not. You got to say God bless America. You got, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm not. I think they're probably. I'm really just talking out of my ass, but I think it really depends on which state. I think each individual state might have some sense of blasphemy laws, but
Okay, yeah. All right. We'll continue.
Or something.
That would be really hard to
Yeah.
But-
prove.
So those are some of the main things, some of the main criticisms.
Yeah.
It is almost impossible to prove in the first place
Yeah.
because with this wording, it doesn't even make proper sense. So any lawyer nowadays could just talk his way out of it.
Right.
Like, and it also flies in the face of our charter.
Yeah, which gives us the
Yes.
freedom to express ourselves. So
Huh.
in coming to what That was 1984. When
Yeah, ish. It might have been
The
80.
charter.
Yeah, it was in the 80s.
Well,
sometime.
it was the Constitution and the charter were drafted in 82.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, 82, not 84.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Okay.
But so really this law is for all intents and purposes useless, but nonetheless it still exists.
Silliness.
You can still hear all you can hear all the chairs creaking. I did.
Well,
There wasn't a lot of I guess we were broadcasting live over
Yeah.
Spreaker, so this is just that raw file. There's no cleanup really.
there's no editing, there's no whatever, but
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of funny to listen to all the chairs creaking and the people smacking their lips. Oh well,
it gives you that live vibe. I mean, that's just
that's right. Yeah. There's no heavy breathing going on in the microphones this time.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit improvements incremental.
Yeah, that's right.
But
it's one of those good old dead laws that just.
there has been good feedback from this petition, though, right, to get rid of it. So
And it seems like
Yes.
something that everybody could get behind, even from the most religious to the most non-religious.
right,
Everybody can get behind this because in every religion, basically, because now, I mean, Canada has many different religions, and no one religion wants to be threatened by a different religion.
Yeah.
That if we say something bad about those guys, we could go to prison for up to 2 years. So it's in everybody's best interest that you not go to jail for saying something. You know,
Yes, that's right.
So this is
Yeah.
this is not something that the conservatives would probably even fight. They might not really push it through,
Yeah, they wouldn't
but
even.
but this is not a very political issue that one side of the aisle would really support and the other side wouldn't.
Yeah, that's fair. I find it odd to think that anybody wouldn't support this, but I also find it odd to think that anybody wouldn't support removing prayer from legislative assemblies and, just general things like that. Like,
Well, that's a little bit different because this is not actually, this law does not endorse. If the law said that Christians can say what they want, but all other religions can't, then, or that you can't blaspheme against the Christian religion, then you would have people taking sides. But this is so general.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
Christians would probably be the first ones to go to prison if it was enforced.
right,
like,
because
truly,
they love-
because-
yeah,
Because they will directly say from their pulpit that, yes, Muslims go to hell. And so
Yeah.
for saying that,
I was listening to something just today, and there was some like Christian fundamentalist saying like exactly that kind of thing, like talking about how Jewish people and Muslims were all going to hell, and the only people who don't go to hell are the people who say like, I accept Jesus, and they say mean it sincerely.
Yeah, like that's a new thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just not changing any, I guess.
yeah, well, let's see the heresy trials of, what was it, the 1400s, the burning times, and I'm glad we're progressing.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's that kind of stuff why you have so many people that are, I mean, from all I can really think of is like the Westboro Baptist Church. I mean, that's part of their whole that was part of their whole thing, is they want to bring on the end times. They want to go to Israel and convert a bunch of Jews to bring on the end times, and it's like
Right.
people are all nuts.
Yeah. It's a little concerning that a lot of them are still in power in a lot of ways, but a lot of those end times types, like, isn't Mike Pompeo one of those?
To be honest with you, I don't know, but it would definitely explain why he keeps going to Israel.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Oh well, he won't
Uh,
be in charge for for much longer.
no, not much. Well, it all depends on how much shit he stirs up just before he leaves.
True.
But you know, yeah, we got what, another week?
Yeah, that's right. Depending, like, we'll see how this week goes too. I guess there's all kinds of credible reports of like armed protests and.
Well, I was watching. I mean, this is almost totally tangent on what we're doing, but I was watching some stuff today, and the irony struck me is that they've got. Oh, I can't remember how many, but I'm pulling a number, but it's tens of thousands of National Guard in DC right now.
Yeah,
they almost it's something like 18,000 National Guard in DC right now. And they said that they have more National Guard in DC than they have deployed in Afghanistan. They have more army in DC than they have in Afghanistan.
Wow.
And the irony of it is that Trump wanted a big military parade for his inauguration.
Yeah.
And Biden kind of has it, but not wanting it.
Yeah, not the way you want it. Yeah, not the way you want it. That's like, yeah, what was somebody was saying that there haven't been this many troops or National Guard in DC since, I can't remember it was some historic date. Like I was like, yeah, I can't remember, but.
Well, I mean, they didn't have anyone crashing or, rushing the Capitol like they did since the War of 1812. So it'd probably be somewhere around there.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that number a lot this last week or week and a bit.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, that's the last time they had, military and destruction in the Capitol was 1812. They didn't even do it they didn't get that far up even during the Civil War. So.
Right.
Even during the Civil War. So.
Right.
Even during the Civil War. So.
Right. Oh boy.
That's a bit of a loop.
Yeah, that was no good. I don't know where my sound is coming from right now. Oh well. Hopefully this works.
You could indict them possibly. So and so this is really in the best interest of everybody who wants to speak.
Right.
To get this removed because
Yeah.
technically, I mean, this law is so general and vague. Anything could be considered blasphemous libel.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm preaching to the choir here, man. Preaching to the choir.
Yeah. I kind of just hope that it goes.
Yeah.
It's cool that they've received enough signatures that now Parliament needs to actually listen to what they have to say.
And I think it's a very good law, like a good practice,
Mhm.
that if you get any petition that you sign, if you get enough signatures, they have to put it on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
So they don't have to actually talk about it necessarily. They can just mention it. Oh, this is on the agenda. We're done. And
Yeah,
then,
that's
but
true.
it still
But it's
needs to be.
there.
So it's a way of people actually voicing their concerns and opinions,
Mhm.
and in a way that they actually have to be listened to by the people that make the decisions.
Yeah. Well,
That's cool.
all right, JT.
I had a thought and then lost it.
It'll come back to you.
I'm sure.
Too much clam juice.
Too much clam juice.
Too
that's
much
right.
clam juice.
Goddamn clam juice. No, I was sent this by Greg Oliver of the Canadian Secular Alliance, and then it's been mostly promoted by BC Humanist. So it gets quite a bit of among the Canadian secular movement. It's got quite a bit of legs.
And CFI Canada also published an article,
Right.
it must be
Yes.
several months ago,
Mhm.
about this, like the blasphemy law.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things that needs to get done at some point, because it is one of the core values of our democracy, that something that separates our laws from Saudi Arabia.
Mhm.
And though our law is,
There must have been something going on in Saudi Arabia that we had just that we were hearing about a lot, because we mentioned it quite a few times in discussing this blasphemy law. And,
Was that when about that time? Was that when that guy got he was arrested and flogged? But was that around the time for
it could
blasphemy?
be. Yeah, it could be. Rafe Badawi.
The
Yeah,
rape
that
part
sounds
rings a bell. I can't remember his last name. Yeah,
Yeah,
He
that
got, like,
sounds.
1,000 lashes, or he was sentenced to 1,000 lashes for blasphemy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
And-
not sure
and-
whatever happened to that.
Yeah, I don't know. Kind of, it was in the news because there was a Canadian connection, and then it kind of just disappeared.
Well, I think his wife lives in Canada.
Yeah, I could totally be wrong, but I want to say Edmonton, but that's just
That could
for
be.
some reason popped in my head. I honestly don't know if that's true or not.
It could be.
But that's my guess, is that's probably why we were probably mentioning Saudi Arabia. But
Yeah. There was a time where it seemed like if you were watching atheist content or paying attention to atheist pages, there was a lot of talk of Saudi Arabia coming out, because there was all this blasphemy stuff, and then they'd behead somebody. They were doing regular beheadings, they said.
well, they've always done that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they are a theocracy. They their punishments. They've got a lot of money and they're kind of modern, but they also, a lot of their laws are straight out of the Quran. Like,
Yeah.
I remember someone telling me one time, like, their mom was over there. I can't remember
Okay.
who it was. It just blanked on who it was, but I remember the story. But they were over there like as a nurse exchange, and yeah, they saw the square where they do the beheadings. So
That would be off-putting.
that would be just weird. That would be just
I mean, I guess obviously we were coming at it from a perspective of someplace where they don't do beheadings in a public square.
no.
so it definitely is going to seem weird to us, but yeah, it seems really weird.
the law
That'd be just.
much better than
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that would be the epitome of culture shock, I think.
Right. Yeah. That's right. It's not some minor difference. It's a pretty big cultural difference.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Saudi Arabia's law. It's just that we don't enforce it.
Right.
So either way, it needs to go, because we really want Saudi Arabia and other countries of the like to remove their blasphemy laws, because it hurts a lot of people around the world and are persecuted for it.
Yes.
Yeah, it just seems like in general it's a obvious violation of free speech, right?
Yeah.
And that's why nobody has been convicted in the last 80 years,
Right.
because every lawyer knows that. And I read an article on it. They said that no judge would ever allow those charges. Like, if you came to a hearing of certain charges,
They just throw it out.
Yeah, they would just throw it out right away, because it's already, everybody knows that it's in conflict with the charter, and just even if we didn't have the charter, we would still know that it flies in the face of everything we love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All
Okay,
right,
let's make it happen.
Renee, you have a interesting story.
I just have to. Mike would like me to tell you guys to pronounce libel properly. I just wanted to say that, and then
All
you
right.
guys-
Libel.
I was thinking that, but I didn't say
All right,
anything.
Leo.
Oh, come on.
God
damn it!
It's a libel.
It's the Bible. No, he's right. It's the Bible, not the Bible.
It's the Bible.
I always thought it was Bibli. They changed it.
Bibli?
The Bibli. They changed the pronunciation later.
Libel rhymes with Bible. All
All right.
Here we are.
Where's the grammar Nazi when you need him?
Yeah.
Right there. in
I
the
was
chat
just,
room.
Right there in
I
the
was
chat
just
room.
being
in the
nice.
chat room.
I didn't want to correct you on
He's very
air
much
like
part
that.
of the podcast still.
It's part of the
I
chat room.
still feel bad about the ounce joke that I made when you were being really serious about your hormones and beef topic.
Is that in 3-ounce portions?
Exactly.
Well,
That was one of my best jokes, and then I felt really bad because
well,
you were.
this libel also comes in 3-ounce portions.
Oh, shit.
I'm glad you have a
We were sure funny to ourselves, I'm sure.
Hey. We thought we were hilarious.
We did.
Maybe not as many people who agreed with us, but
Yeah. I still think that's funny. Just a bunch of silly people.
hey, anytime you can sort of quote Eddie Izzard is good.
good. You're good natured, Leo. It's good.
All right, Renee. Mormon
Hey.
porn.
We want to go into Mormon porn.
Mormon porn.
In
This
3-ounce
sounds
portions.
like a Mormon porn episode.
Yeah. Well, like I was listening to before coming on. I listened to the Dave Edwards Wayward Atheist podcast, and they were talking about Mormon porn.
Oh, is
so,
that right?
Yeah, so it's a thing. So anyway, it's a short article about two people that started up, Mormon themed porn.
Okay.
And they have, it's the first guy that in the article they talked about, and he was basically he was a gay man living as a Mormon and decided he, had feelings when they were doing their little missions and decided they needed to make Mormon porn. Which it's just there's this look of just confusion. But it's so yeah, there's like there's two different sites. There's MormonBoys.com and then MormonGirls.com,
Okay.
which they're it's all Mormon themed.
Write that down.
Yeah. And yes, I went to the
Way ahead of you.
Yeah. Yes, I went to the website strictly for research.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure it was totally for research purposes.
But yeah, so
But tell me, did you start enjoying it?
no,
Well, the research. The research.
no, neither one. Kind of creepy, actually.
Yeah, I don't know how popular those websites are now.
I
but-
remember that. I don't know. For a while, it was a thing. It was a thing. But then again, those Mormons, polygamous marriage and special religious underwear. It's of course they make Mormon porn.
Of course. Yeah, that's right.
Of
It
course.
makes perfect sense.
Well, then again, I mean, they haven't did it in a while, but of course, Vice would have these kind of articles. But it's always the most religious repressive that's where you always find, the most porn searches. They always show up in those states that are the most religious and most repressed.
Yeah,
It's
every
usually
year
the
when
weirdest shit.
Pornhub,
That's what they're looking for.
every year Pornhub comes out with their stats, and it's always the most religious red states, the most repressed states.
Yeah, the deep South. They've always, it's always the most gay lesbian porn. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's right.
It didn't. Did you go down the rabbit hole?
Not very far.
No.
No.
He couldn't.
No.
He couldn't last.
No, man.
didn't
that's not a rabbit hole you go down.
No, that is not. But so at any rate,
Oh
the whole thing is just basically it's because it's kind of the Mormons. Let's face facts. It's kind of a weird, repressive yet not repressive kind of thing. Like
yeah.
Joseph Smith was a horn dog. Like he had plural marriages so he could get as much as possible, you know. And I think some of that teaching has kind of gone through the religion, even though they stopped doing the plural marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And with stuff like with the whole repression of sexuality and yet embracing it, it's just created this weird I can't even say the right word.
Fetishized?
There we go. That's the
Fetishization?
word. There you go. Of the things like the temple garbs, like the special
Yes.
Mormon magic underwear,
That's
Okay.
right.
and that's a key part of the porn,
Yeah.
Of course.
of course. So, I mean, the weird thing is there's a lot of like there's a whole element of a lot of lesbian, gay elements of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the magical underwear. Yeah, it's just there's that whole thing, purity plus sin equals excitement. So like
Edward says magic underwear is not sexy at all.
no, it's not. Like I said, I looked at the website and it's not sexy.
33 wives Joseph Smith had? I think this was 14.
Yep.
But then again,
Wow.
the magic underwear,
Wow.
I guess to each his own. There are
I mean,
Doesn't it matter who's
Wait,
wearing it? Maybe
do you- Wait.
maybe the
wait.
way they wear it.
I'm not confessing that I like him.
Okay.
I'm just saying that I respect people that do.
You respect people that like granny style.
Sure.
Hey,
I respect their
Undergarments?
right to like that.
hey, if
Yes.
that tickles the tickle,
That floats your boat.
not everyone's into like
Angela sounded really Canadian right there. If when she said if that floats your boat.
Yeah. All she needed to do was throw in an A and
Yeah,
floats your boat, eh?
floats your boat, eh? Very Canadian.
vacuum
This is-
sealed rubber, whatever.
Yeah.
Un- unbleached
Some people are
linen.
though.
Yeah,
Some people are.
Yes.
So like, I mean, it's just kind of
Oh, they're
funny
un-
how like
That would be. They're uncomfortable, he says. Edward says they're fucking uncomfortable.
well, they
But they're
probably are.
magic. How can they be uncomfortable?
Well, that's the
Well,
thing. You can't be.
well,
you
there's-
can't be
Is that-
comfortable.
Is
Well,
that the point? I wonder if that's the point that they're uncomfortable because you make this
like-
commitment. It's a metaphor,
Nah. Well, maybe.
right?
Maybe.
is it like
But
bearing the cross?
honestly,
Yeah.
No, like-
I think all it is it's
People
because
that
it
get
was,
crucified every Easter. It's like, yeah, this.
You know what? I don't even think this goes, and I could be totally wrong. I don't think it even goes that far. I think
No?
it's just the fact that that's the kind of underwear they had in 1880, whatever, when they started the Mormon
Right,
religion,
right,
and it
yeah.
just became.
We've just always done
It's
it
the
this
standard.
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's
way. Yeah.
actually this is a total sidetrack, but when it goes to doing things a certain way, I remember a friend of mine told me that there's a church somewhere in the United States that in the in early 1900s they only drove black cars because that's the only thing that Henry Ford made
You
because
could
they only came in black.
buy any
That's
car
right.
you
So-
wanted as long as it was
yeah.
black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so everybody drove black car. So somehow they got church ordinance that or just a tradition that everybody drove a black car.
Right.
And to this day, like people still drive only black cars that go to that church.
'Cause it's
It's become a
Yeah.
norm.
Becomes a norm. Yeah. But like that's just it. Like I think that's where it's become a norm, and then because of the rituals, it somehow has become oddly erotic for some of these people because it's
Yeah.
very repressive, and when you repress it so far, things kind of go sideways, and I think that's what this is.
I know.
But
I
It's
know
like
how
when
that
you crush
works.
something and it squeezes out the sides.
Yeah.
But I think that this
I heard a very similar analogy for fascists the other day. Like when you squeeze them and you shut them down in various ways, then they squish out to the edges. And start spreading.
That analogy probably works with a lot of things.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. The toothpaste analogy.
that this
I
guy
mean,
who started,
it's all very repressive thinking, so it probably all works the same way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. The more you can, there's so many ideas that the more you, although it might get thinner at the edges. So maybe depends which way you want to go with the analogy, I guess.
They didn't have Spanx in 1886.
I think the guy who started these sites is actually a marketing genius, because you have to study
Heck yeah.
your demographic.
Mhm.
And Utah and Salt Lake City, they are
Yeah.
very, very high porn consumers.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they also because looking into this, there is a Utah senator, I think, who wants to
Yes.
ban porn because he sees it as a health problem.
That's I don't generally watch the show on purpose, but Chelsea Handler,
Yeah.
she just had an episode where she had the Utah guy who wants to ban porn, along with a couple guys who proclaim that the science says that porn is an addictive thing that you shouldn't be doing and is harmful and
Huh.
See, the
can
only problem
affect
is,
erectile dysfunction and
for
whatnot.
thing is the more you ban it, the more people want it. Like
And frankly, there is no science that supports those things.
No.
Those claims. Like,
The closest thing that, I mean, one of the big consensus that have come out is that it does affect the way people view beauty and how their relationships, how they view their relationships.
right.
So that is, it does affect that if you always see the prettiest of women or whatever you may have
Right.
doing everything that that you could ever want, that does affect.
So
I
that's
think that's
that. There was a
literature
study
and
done
art
about that, and they noticed that people are less attracted to like regular people.
They have a short. Well, I read this a couple of days ago.
I don't know, guys. There's a lot of data debunking every claim about porn, and
I disagree
it's
with that.
almost all just morality dressed up as science. Almost all of it. Like, I mean, we should.
I think I might have been wrong there. There's a lot of like actual, I don't know. There's a lot more information about how depending on on the cultural norms that are brought about by stuff like that. Like it's not necessarily porn based, but it's like society has certain beauty standards, and those are expressed in various genres, and adult entertainment would be one of them, right? And therefore, and like art influences culture, and culture influences art. They're both part of that, and that influences the way that individuals behave within their culture.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, at one point, they called it Rubenesque? They always had the plus size models, to use a modern term,
right?
And and then somehow we, through the ages, we evolved down to heroin chic, and then now so beauty standards do change, and that probably applies to your porn too.
Yeah, I would think so. And yeah, like who or what is influencing the way that culture views beauty is probably so complex that you can't remove an adult, like something like porn, from it.
Probably not, mind you. Let's face facts. There's still a rule. What is it? Rule 34.
Yeah, that's right. There's
no,
a porn for everything.
no matter what exists, there's a porn version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
ASMR or whatever that is.
I've heard about that.
They say that it's not porn, but yet people still get off on it. So
there's something for everybody.
Have Director Daryl Ray come on the show sometime.
Can we please?
I will message him.
Yeah.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
We never did get him on the show.
Let's
No.
art, literature. That's all shapes all that shit. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying porn by any stretch of imagination is art or literature, but
Hey, it's art.
It's art.
Literature.
I'm not sure if it's literature.
Whether you could
Un-
count
unless
it
you
as a,
unless you have the
A lot
school
of
the
spaces.
school teacher scene where then it might be
a lot
somewhat.
of, a lot
somewhat.
of negative space in that literature.
This is Kayla's favorite conversation.
Yay. I knew I liked you, Kayla.
I mean,
Although I almost have to say, like, just as a separate joke, that maybe porn's not literature, but they try to make it like I think of 50 Shades of Grey sold 100. I can't remember what it is. I looked it up one time. It's something like 150 million copies. Maybe people don't watch porn, but they'll read the shit out of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there is a literature of porn, a porn of literature or whatever, right? Yeah.
Topic. I just want to say that the rape culture connection to some of pornography
Right.
is actually something that I think is worth looking further into.
Yeah,
I think there's
definitely.
definitely some argument there. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think there needs to be like because pornography isn't. I was taught that it was evil, it was bad, and
Right.
and like it's still not mainstream. And I think there's a lot of teenage boys that watch it and they're not educated of like this is not reality. This is what happens. This is when like in really good lighting, people that work hard
Multiple
for their
takes.
It's like
bodies.
sex fiction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
exactly,
exactly.
what it is. Yeah,
And-
sex
and-
fiction.
and they don't understand like the whole consent thing and
Okay, sex fiction should have been the title of the episode.
You know what? It's been a while since I remember this conversation, but that is a funny line.
Yeah.
That's a keeper. That's a keeper.
that's huge. And I think you make a very good point, Dave.
I mean, I think there is something to that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there is, but I know there was reading an article like you were saying how it's fantasies. Like, there was an actual thing brought up for porn, which is totally sidestepping the whole Mormon porn thing, but
Right.
that they were concerned about shooting porn in HD
Because
because they were concerned about this because they don't look perfect under HD. You're going to see they're going to see they're
there's
going to see
cellulite, there's flaw.
you're going to see razor burn. You're going to see
Yeah.
Ingrown hairs.
Right.
breast implants, scars, and like there was actual concern about shooting porn in HD.
There's a guy on the
interesting.
second floor in this building who could probably correct all that too. So
Hey.
they probably have budgets now for
Yeah, I'm sure
probably.
many of them
Yeah.
have
post
budgets.
HD correction.
Just
Well,
make sure they still have all their limbs and
and most of the studies that I've read that go into this, most of them do say that there's mostly myths about
Yeah.
what it does and does not cause, if it is good or bad.
yeah.
But the more reliable ones, they all say, well, there are some things like rape culture or also like false expectations and stuff. But then they have a disclaimer for the most part, though this cannot be generalized and extrapolated that
Right.
this is bad all the time.
This may not
Like,
be good
the-
enough evidence to
Yeah.
say that this is.
Yeah, they say that there are some correlations between some things, but not something that, okay, you watch porn, you do this, then you do this. Like
It strikes me as oddly parallel with studies that relate, like, say, violent video games to violent behavior.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wrong.
Right? And those are fairly dubious in
Yeah.
most of them.
and a lot of the social sciences are not, well, there's a reason why they're
It's a bad
hard
comparison.
sciences.
That's true.
Like
but
It's a bad comparison. The research on, and even the research on video games, though we said there is lots of evidence saying that violent video games don't contribute to or don't make a kid violent. I think there is more mixed evidence about like the way that it impacts people's attitudes towards violence. But
I mean, I think with video games, it's still it's still kind of cartoony, like even as it gets really realistic. So there's still that separation. But
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I still remember watching, was it Penn and Teller's Bullshit, and they did one on that. I mean, it's Penn and Teller, so call that into question as you want. But
Yeah,
they,
and that was a long time ago too. So
that was a long time ago. But it was still entertaining because they took a kid that played a lot of shooters, had him shoot a real gun, and he scared the living shit out of himself.
yeah.
You know, and you know,
I wonder where that kid is now, or what his attitude is now.
yeah, that'd be interesting. I thought he was at DC. He was at the protest.
Yeah, that's right. Like, well, we are at, I guess, 55 minutes of this now.
Yeah.
We don't have to go much farther here. It's too bad. I thought Angela was going to make it this evening, but maybe we'll see her next time. So that would be cool. We will try to continue this one on until it's done, and then we'll move on to the next episode.
All right.
All right. Thank you to anybody who watched this. And thank you, Renee, for joining in when you could.
Yeah. So, like we said last week, this is doing it this way. It's one of the benefits of this crazy COVID shit is that you can just pop in and do it. So,
yeah, that's right. All right. I'm going to hit the end button and end this broadcast.
all right.